PEZA pushes for the creation of 13 new economic zones outside Metro Manila. The Bangko Sentral forges a cooperation pact with its peers in the region to strengthen cross-border payments across Southeast Asia. Filipino businessmen are looking to work with their Cambodian counterparts for a possible partnership on rice. And as elevated inflation continues to bite, many Filipino consumers are topping up or reloading less credits on their prepaid phone numbers. Let's begin our broadcast with the Philippine Economic Zone Authority pushing for the creation of 13 economic zones across the country. PEZA Officer in Charge Tereso Panga says one of the 13 pending eco-zones is already endorsed to the Office of President Bongbong Marcos, while the 12 others have been endorsed to the Trade Department. Panga says these proposed eco-zones are all located outside Metro Manila and are expected to bring in investments pegged at around 18 billion pesos. Panga also says that following what he describes as, quote, aggressive investment promotions, the agency's 6 to 7% growth target for 2022 is attainable. Now, the Philippines joins a cooperation pact with ASEAN central banks for cross-border payments. The Bangko Sentral signed a memorandum of understanding with the banks of Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, and Thailand on the sidelines of the G20 Leaders Summit that's being held in Bali. The initiative aims to strengthen regional payment connectivity among Southeast Asian countries. The implementation of cross-border payments is expected to support and facilitate international trade, investment, and economic activities, which would help accelerate recovery. It is also seen to help small businesses participating in international markets. Now, during the recently concluded ASEAN summits, the Philippines' business delegation urged their Cambodian counterparts to consider having their rice paddy or palay processed here in the Philippines. That's according to Go Negosyo founder Joey Concepcion, who chaired the delegation. Cambodia is one of the world's biggest rice exporters, but it currently sends unprocessed rice to Vietnam before exporting supply to other countries like the Philippines. The Philippine business community is now looking to put up its own processing plant here in the country so that rice paddy from Cambodia can be transported here directly. Concepcion hopes that this move will help boost the Philippine economy next year. Meanwhile, Concepcion also told One News that ASEAN leaders are supportive of the administration's programs to support digitalization of small and medium enterprises. He notes that this is important as MSMEs comprise 99% of the country's businesses and contributes up to 40% of the country's economic growth.
My position to the ASEAN leaders was to really push for our program, which we call the ASEAN Mentorship for Entrepreneurship Network. And of course, mentorship programs are now moving online. Our mentoring programs with DTI and DR are basically all online. And now, through AMEN, the ASEAN Mentorship for Entrepreneurship Network, the same program will be done online with different countries participating in that program. And of course, market, which is very important, they were very supportive.
Our guest today also took part in those meetings with the business community in ASEAN to find out what else they talked about and other programs they may have tackled. We have on the show George Barcelon, President of the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry. George, good day. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Jes.
Okay, so you were there together with the rest of the Philippine business delegation to Cambodia. Any deals and agreements that were forged or any discussions that you tackled during your time there?
Well, there are various sectors that was discussed, like earlier that was shown regarding the rice. I was able to talk to the president of the Chamber of Cambodia rice grower. And he was the one who brought up the concern, the interest in having collaboration with the Philippines, wherein we could mill their palay. They're actually shipping them to Vietnam to have it processed, and then the rice that we import from Vietnam possibly also originated from Cambodia. So this is a positive news for us that we can collaborate. And if we were to buy palay from them and process them, it will be cheaper for our consumer. So we will be. I have talked to them, and they're interested in paying us a visit. So we will try to. At least I will try to touch base with the agricultural sector and see what we can do.
Okay, so at least that's one positive development there that you had in your meeting with, at least like what you mentioned, the rice chamber over there in Cambodia. But what is this going to mean as well with their partnership with Vietnam? Is this something that at least Vietnam is going to be amenable with, considering that might actually cut down on their exports, rice exports here to the Philippines?
Well, but as far as this collaboration to be implemented, it may take some time, but at least we have a headway already. We know who to talk to. Other than the rice issue, they also because I asked them whether they are. There's a lot of Filipinos working there as teachers, especially in English, and one of the big group of business organizations said yes. As a matter of fact, they are in need of more Filipino teachers to teach them English. And this is where they looked at the Philippines, wherein we are a big player in the BPOs. And they feel that if they have the proficiency in English, they would like to look into that. And this will be cascaded to the BPO players here in the Philippines for them to look into Cambodia as also a possible investment for BPOs. To put things in the right perspective, our GDP per capita is anywhere between 3,000 to 4,000 pesos, while Cambodia is much less. They are really a developing country, but it's moving up fast. As I noticed that their travel and leisure business seems to be picking up. There are new hotels being built. So those are things that even for people in these sectors in the Philippines can look into it. As far as for them to invest in the Philippines, I would like to think that it will take some time. But again, there are business people that I met, and I was surprised that they're pretty big in the healthcare sector. Meaning to say, they invested in Thailand, putting up I would call it health center catering to the Europeans. So this is something that and the operations that the gentleman that I talked to mentioned that their operation they have a facility for 4,000 beds. So I inquired further, and again, I expressed to them that maybe this is one sector that they should come over and take a look on the possibility in the Philippines.
Now, I want to pick up on one point that you raised earlier, Sir George, particularly on the BPOs. Would that in any way not eat up on possible investment opportunities in the BPO sector here in the Philippines?
Well, I think the BPO sector is growing. Of course, if any investment in BPOs, we would like to have it in our country. Okay? But again, BPO is in a way competitive. We know we have our competitor like India, for example. But it's good that here back home, we're now going up the value chain.
Okay.
As far as BPO. And that's where, if we are going up the value chain, if there are certain segment of this business that will require lower cost, then Cambodia may be an option for the BPO players. But I wouldn't say that it's going to be immediate because the proficiency in English is quite far behind us. And it will take some time. But you can see that they are aware of the fact that they have to build up their English proficiency especially in their youth.
Now, apart from that, you also had fruitful talks on the digitalization of MSMEs, not just in the Philippines, but across the region as well. You're talking about a mentorship program across ASEAN. How exactly is the private sector in ASEAN planning to go about that? Do you have a timeline as well?
Well, we're cognizant of the fact that MSMEs, no, they are the main bulk of business establishment. And also the reality that MSMEs existence require also the big movers, okay, the big businesses wherein the trickle down effect, they are part of the supply chain. The MSME cannot exist on their own. Of course, when I say, I have to clarify that there are businesses in the service sectors. In the franchise sector now, we have in the Philippines, we are the more active one in ASEAN, which is good, and they are classified as MSMEs. But the rest, I think, the travel and leisure business is also one sector that can really build up the MSMEs. But we would like, especially in the trip of President BBM, to attract manufacturing investments here, wherein, if you have a big investors in manufacturing, the trickle-down effect would be the supply chain.
Okay.
Like in other countries, when they attract major players to their country, they bring in the whole, or at least the majority of the supply chain, and the supply chain are the mostly SMEs. Maybe this is a model wherein we could do, aside from, of course, having the low-hanging fruit sector such as tourism, and tourism really benefits the MSMEs.
Right. Now, at the same time, while all that is happening in Cambodia, over in Bali, you have ASEAN central banks, like we reported earlier, agreeing on cross-border payments across the region. Is this something that you have discussed with your counterparts as well, and how exactly are you planning to move forward with this?
Well, these are general statements or in the wish list of the ASEAN partners. Okay? Like the G20 is the meetings G20 now is being held in Bali, and the theme of that is recover together, recover stronger. And 3 days from now, there will be the EPEC meeting that will be held, and then the theme of that is also continuity, inclusivity, and innovations. So these are themes that are being discussed in the different modalities. Different like ASEAN BAC also touches on that. But President BBM after the meeting stressed that food security is an issue wherein the ASEAN can really collaborate further. Having the headwind now that we are facing, the food commodity prices are quite high, but it seems to be the fuel price, the oil price seems to have tapered a bit, and that's good news. But nevertheless, the ASEAN countries, the 10 of ASEAN countries, can help each other out in the sense of connectivity.
Okay.
And you mentioned about
Cross-border payments.
border payment, and the goods and services is also one area that we hope that the ASEAN can work together.
All right. Again, thank you very much for those updates and those insights. I hope to have you again next time on the show. Again, George Barcelon, President of PCCI. Thank you, Sir George.
Thank you very much.
Now let's pause for a quick break, but coming right up after that. Many Filipinos are spending less on reloading their mobile phone numbers as commodity prices continue to soar. More of that and other stories when Business World Live returns. Stay with us. And you're still watching Business World Live here on One News. I'm Jes Delos Santos. Heads up, motorists, because it's a new week for another round of mixed adjustments on fuel prices. Effective today, November 15, gasoline will be pricier by 90 centavos per liter. Oil companies that sell kerosene will also hike prices by 1 peso and 35 centavos per liter. Diesel, on the other hand, will see a rollback of 30 centavos per liter. The Energy Department says the latest movement in oil prices can be attributed to lower demand in other countries as well as higher interest rates in the US and Europe. The National Economic and Development Authority seeks amendments in joint venture agreements between the government and private entities. One of the proposals includes requiring regulatory approval for joint ventures, imposition of toll fees, tariffs, and other charges. Under the draft rules, tolls, fees, and rates can be adjusted during the life of the contract based on an approved formula or adjustment schedule in the approved contract. The agency or local government unit should secure the advice of the regulator or the approval of a relevant body on the formula for rate adjustments even before the bidding. Under the draft, the government entity can also enter into a JV quote if there will be better value for money for the government than if the project will be pursued through traditional or other modes of procurement. Now, with their recent liquidity crisis, FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried learned the hard lesson that without trust, nothing functions. It should be noted, though, that this breakdown of trust, especially among counterparts and clients, is not unique to Bankman-Fried or the crypto world alone. More details in this Bloomberg Quick Take.
The recent breakdown of crypto exchange FTX.com has a lot of folks questioning not just what went wrong, but why it happened so fast in the first place. In a word, liquidity. It's the backbone of every marketplace out there. Look at it this way. Say I had this can of beans. I think it's worth $2. You think it's worth $2, so we'll just exchange. You get what you want, I get what I want. It's simple and efficient. As more people see us trading, they also want to participate in this market, then everyone starts trading cash for beans. It's a liquid market. But one day you decide that this can of beans isn't worth $2. In fact, you think it's zero. Fair enough. I'm going to go find another buyer out there, but then she looks and she says, why would I pay $2 for this if that guy over there doesn't want to pay $2 for this? So I go to look for another potential buyer, then another and another and a sister and a brother, but no one wants to be involved. It's a doom loop. Confidence in the process erodes and then suddenly poof, that's it. There are no more counterparties. There are no more transactions. Liquidity, it's gone. Coinbase, Kraken, Binance, FTX, these platforms were designed in large part to ensure an efficient marketplace for cryptocurrencies. But here's the strange loop of it all. That efficiency, it's based almost entirely on whether you believe and trust in that efficiency. Financial historian Peter Bernstein once said that liquidity is simply, well, whether you're willing to buy what I'm looking to sell.
The Philippine Digital Assets Exchange, or PDAX, says the fallout of cryptocurrency exchange FTX will bring a significant loss of confidence in the market. Speaking here in Business World Live, PDAX CEO Nichelle Gaba says that although the FTX fallout's impact on Filipino investors is minimal, some holders who flock to global unregulated players may have been badly affected. Gaba adds that with the FTX collapse, the country's crypto industry took a step back from years of efforts in creating a safe space for investors. He says much can still be done in terms of enforcing rules for the crypto industry here in the Philippines.
While it's definitely a troubling development, it might also end up proving to be a necessary development. It's, I would say, impossible to happen to an institution that's fully regulated. And I think it's actually incidents like this that would prompt regulators to enforce more strictly, and also for consumers to be a lot more discerning about where they put their funds into.
Now, many Filipino consumers are reloading less credits on their prepaid mobile phone accounts as they tighten their belts amid soaring prices of basic commodities. That's according to major telco service providers in the country. According to Smart Communications, consumers are beginning to spend less on mobile services as they opt for more affordable offers. Smart adds that it has also seen a reduction in the frequency of top-ups from reloading every day to a mere 2 to 3 times a week. Globe also says it has observed customers trading down connectivity needs for more basic household requirements. This as Filipinos prioritize utilizing their budget for bare necessities. Smart and Globe both recently launched low-cost offers to mitigate the impact of soaring prices on consumer budgets. And those are the biggest stories on the economic and corporate front today. I'm Jes Delos Santos. We are One News, all sides, all the time. Don't go away. We'll give you the latest on the local bourse when Businessworld Live returns. Stay with us. And you're still watching Business World Live here on One News. I'm Jes Delos Santos. Again, shares off to a hot start on a Monday. However, that seems to be halting at least in the first few minutes of the trading day today. As you can see here, the index is down by close to 0.1% to 6,350. Carlos Temporal of AP Securities says, there has been an upward momentum in the index as sentiment improves following, of course, positive news last week. That involves, of course, better than expected GDP growth. You also have cooler than expected inflation over in the US, as well as the easing of COVID restrictions over in China. For Luis Limdingan of Regina Capital, much also can be attributed, of course, to stellar corporate earnings for the third quarter and the 9-month income period, at least for all these listed firms. But much of the sentiment in the Philippines and across Asia will continue to latch on developments in China. You have a slew of economic data expected from Beijing. That includes retails as well as industrial production, as well as the medium-term lending facility rate over in China. But apart from that, you also have Chinese President Xi Jinping, as well as his U.S. counterpart, U.S. President Joe Biden, calling for reduced tensions during their meeting in Bali in Indonesia. With that, of course, Hang Seng has been in a bull run after the laxing of COVID rules in China and measures as well to support the property market. Looking at Asia, however, you can see here Japan at least starting the day in the green here. Both the topics and the Nikkei on the upside. The same cannot be said of the Kospi, as you can see here, down at least by 0.25%. Australia also starting the day in the red here. Chinese stocks so far, however, looking mixed. The Hang Seng, for one, in fact, continuing its rally up by 0.5%. Now, also, like what Luis Limlingan of Regina Capital did say, much of the improvement here, at least in the main index domestically, is due to, of course, corporate earnings. One came out just this morning. You have Aboitiz Equity Ventures with net income for the third quarter coming in at 9.6 billion pesos. But looking over at their 9-month period performance here, you see net income increasing by 9% to 21.4 billion pesos, but that on the back of non-recurring gains increasing to 5.3 billion pesos compared to just 83 million pesos compared to a year ago. That's due to revaluation of US dollar cash and liquid financial instruments. But remove those one-off gains, you'd see our core net income is down by 17% to 16.1 billion pesos. Still the biggest contributor to their income. The power unit is with shares at 58%. Banking likewise contributing 29%. The other sectors like financials adding 10% to their revenue. Real estate and infrastructure and food all adding 1%. However, as you can see here, Aboitiz Equity Venture starting the day in the red here. The stock is now at 58 pesos and 20 centavos a piece. That is down by 0.5%. Now, another stock we have to be taking a look at, you have Alliance Global. Third quarter figures improved. Net income is up by 4.7%, with revenue also increasing by 18%. But 9-month figures still on the downside, with net income little change, with a modest decline of 0.9% to 11.92 billion pesos. As you can see here, Alliance Global so far at least eking out gains here, up by 0.4% to 9 pesos and 4 centavos apiece. And that's it for today, November 15, 2022. Join us again tomorrow at exactly 9:30 a.m. You can also catch us on Signal Play. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Jes Delos Santos. Stay safe, Philippines. We are One News, all sides, all the time.